Imagine this for a second. You're going through an ordinary day, your phone buzzes, your inbox fills up, and you expect another routine message. But then you notice something different. It's not flashy, it's not surrounded by fanfare, it's simply a letter. You open it, and the very first words stop time. You're the woman I'm going to marry. Most people would read that sentence and assume it's about romance. It isn't, not at first. It's about certainty. In a world where people hesitate, overthink, and leave every door open, certainty has become incredibly rare. Those few words don't just describe a feeling, they describe a decision. And every meaningful achievement in life begins with one. I've always believed that the future belongs to people who are willing to commit before they have every answer. You don't build rockets because success is guaranteed. You don't create new technologies because failure is impossible. You choose a direction, accept the risks, and move forward anyway. Relationships aren't so different. The strongest ones aren't built on perfect timing or endless options. They're built when two people decide that the future is something they'll create together. Now imagine reading the rest of that letter. It doesn't promise an effortless life. It doesn't claim there won't be disagreements, difficult seasons, or moments of doubt. Instead, it says something far more valuable. I see who you are, I believe in what we can become together, and I'm willing to build that future with you. That's a different kind of love. It's not driven by emotion alone. It's powered by purpose. It's choosing someone not because they're perfect, but because they're the person you want beside you when life becomes uncertain. Anyone can stand next to you when everything is easy. The real question is who stays when the mission becomes difficult. The surprising thing is that receiving a letter like this doesn't just change how you see the person who wrote it. It changes how you see yourself. Suddenly you're asking bigger questions. Am I living with intention? Am I becoming someone worthy of that kind of confidence? Am I building a life that someone else would gladly join? Because in the end, the most powerful words are never the ones that promise forever. They're the ones that inspire two people to start building it today. If someone spends their life chasing impossible goals, people often assume they're looking for something impossible in love too. They imagine that success changes what the heart wants. But I've found that the opposite is often true. The more complex your work becomes, the more you appreciate what is simple, genuine, and real. Achievement can fill your calendar, but it can't replace the feeling of having someone who truly understands why you do what you do. People tend to think a visionary chooses a partner because of status, beauty, or public image. Those things might capture attention for a moment, but they never sustain a lifetime. What holds value over years is something much deeper. It's finding someone who isn't intimidated by ambition, but isn't impressed by it either. Someone who sees beyond headlines and accomplishments and recognizes the human being behind them. The right person doesn't need to have every answer. They don't need to share every skill or every interest. What matters is that they share a way of thinking, curiosity, integrity, resilience, a willingness to grow. Those qualities become the foundation of everything else. They're what allow two people to solve problems together instead of becoming problems for each other. I've always believed that progress comes from asking better questions. The same principle applies to relationships. Instead of asking, what can this person give me? Ask, what kind of future can we build together? That shift changes everything. Suddenly, love isn't about keeping score. It becomes a partnership focused on creating something bigger than either person could accomplish alone. There will always be challenges. Big dreams demand long hours, difficult decisions, and sacrifices that many people never see. That's why trust matters more than constant reassurance. When two people believe in each other's intentions, distance doesn't weaken the relationship, pressure doesn't define it, and success doesn't become a competition. They become teammates with a shared mission. The greatest partnerships are built on honesty. You need someone who can celebrate your victories without losing themselves, and someone who can tell you when you're wrong without fearing your reaction. Real love isn't blind agreement. It's courageous truth delivered with respect. When you find someone who inspires you to think more clearly, dream more boldly, laugh more often, and become a better version of yourself, you've discovered something more valuable than admiration. You've found alignment. And when two lives are aligned by purpose instead of convenience, they become capable of building a future that neither could have imagined alone. By the time you've read a letter that says, "You're the woman I'm going to marry," you might expect every paragraph that follows to be filled with poetry, compliments, and dramatic promises. But if the words are meant to last a lifetime, they have to be built on something stronger than emotion alone. Feelings can inspire a beginning, but they aren't enough to carry two people through everything that life will ask of them. A meaningful love letter isn't about describing a perfect person, it's about recognizing a real one. It says, I see your strengths, but I also see your fears. I know you're not flawless, and neither am I. Yet I believe what we can build together is greater than either of us alone. That's not fantasy. That's faith backed by intention. I think we spend too much time treating love as something that simply happens to us like weather. But the relationships that endure aren't accidents. They're engineered through trust, honesty, patience, and thousands of small decisions made every single day. Just as every breakthrough begins with a blueprint, every lasting relationship begins with shared values that remain steady when emotions rise and fall. If I were writing that letter, I wouldn't promise a life without obstacles. I would promise that when obstacles appear, you won't face them by yourself. I wouldn't promise perfection because perfection isn't real. I would promise persistence. I would promise that even on difficult days, the mission doesn't change. We keep communicating, we keep learning, we keep choosing each other. There would also be gratitude in that letter. Gratitude for someone who challenges my thinking instead of simply agreeing with it. Someone who isn't afraid to ask difficult questions, because the best ideas and the strongest relationships are refined through honest conversations. Growth has never come from comfort alone, and neither does love. The future would be a central theme, not just where we'll live or what we'll accomplish, but who we'll become. A relationship should expand your perspective, strengthen your character, and give you the confidence to pursue goals that once seemed beyond reach. When two people genuinely believe in each other's potential, they multiply possibilities rather than limit them. In the end, the most unforgettable love letter isn't remembered because it sounded beautiful. It's remembered because every sentence became visible through consistent actions. Words may capture the heart for a moment, but unwavering commitment is what gives those words a lifetime of meaning. Once you've made a commitment, the real journey begins. It's easy to imagine that love becomes effortless after two people choose each other, but that's rarely how life works. Every meaningful mission comes with demands, and the bigger the mission, the greater those demands become. The challenge isn't finding love. The challenge is protecting it while pursuing dreams that constantly compete for your time, attention, and energy. When your days are filled with impossible deadlines, difficult decisions, and responsibilities that affect thousands of people, it's tempting to believe that success requires sacrificing your personal life. But I've learned that love isn't an obstacle to great work. When it's healthy, it's one of the reasons great work becomes possible. Having someone who believes in you doesn't remove pressure, but it changes how you carry it. That doesn't mean balance is achieved by splitting every day perfectly in half. Life doesn't work that way. There will be seasons when work demands more. There will be moments when family must come first. Balance isn't about equal hours. It's about making sure the people you love never question where they stand in your heart, even when your schedule is full. Extraordinary lives also require extraordinary communication. You can't assume someone understands what you're carrying just because they care about you. You have to explain your vision, your worries, your setbacks, and your hopes. Silence creates distance, while honesty builds connection. The strongest relationships aren't built because problems never appear. They're built because both people decide that no problem is more important than the relationship itself. Another lesson is learning to celebrate small moments. It's easy to chase the next milestone, the next launch, the next achievement, believing happiness is always waiting somewhere ahead. But life isn't lived only in historic victories. It's lived in quiet conversations after long days, shared laughter over simple meals, unexpected messages that brighten an ordinary afternoon, and the comfort of knowing someone is genuinely glad you're home. The right partner also reminds you that your value isn't measured only by what you produce. They see the person behind the accomplishments. They encourage your ambition without allowing it to become your identity. That's a rare gift because it keeps success from becoming a lonely destination. An extraordinary life will always test a relationship, but it also gives two people the opportunity to build something extraordinary together. When love becomes the foundation instead of the distraction, every challenge transforms into another reason to move forward. Side by side, with purpose, confidence, and an unshakable belief that the greatest achievements are never built alone. After all the emotion, all the anticipation, and all the dreams contained in a letter, one question remains. What gives those words their weight? Anyone can write, "You're the woman I'm going to marry." The sentence is powerful, but its true value isn't measured on the day it's written. It's measured years later, when life has tested every promise behind it. Real commitment isn't a dramatic moment. It's a pattern. It's waking up every day and making the same choice, even when circumstances change. Feelings naturally rise and fall. Just as markets fluctuate, technologies evolve, and plans require constant adjustment. But commitment is different. It's a decision that remains steady even when emotions become unpredictable. People often confuse commitment with certainty that nothing will go wrong. That's never been my experience. Every meaningful journey involves uncertainty. If you wait until every risk disappears, you'll never build anything significant. Relationships follow the same principle. You don't commit because you've eliminated every possible challenge. You commit because you've decided the relationship is worth facing those challenges together. That's why trust matters so much. Trust isn't built through one grand gesture. It's built through consistency. It's showing up when you said you would. It's keeping promises that no one else notices. It's choosing honesty when the truth is uncomfortable. Those small actions may seem ordinary, but over time they become the architecture of an extraordinary relationship. Respect is another part of commitment that often goes unnoticed. Real love doesn't ask someone to become smaller so you can feel bigger. It encourages growth. It celebrates individuality while strengthening unity. The best partner isn't someone who follows behind you or stands in front of you. It's someone who walks beside you, bringing strength that complement your own and perspectives that make your thinking better. There will be disagreements. There will be moments when both people are tired, frustrated, or uncertain. Commitment doesn't eliminate conflict. It changes how conflict is handled. Instead of asking who wins, committed people ask, how do we solve this? They remember that protecting the relationship is more important than protecting their pride. In the end, a promise of marriage isn't really about a wedding day. A wedding lasts hours. A marriage is built over decades. It's created through countless conversations, quiet sacrifices, shared victories, unexpected setbacks, forgiveness, laughter, and the daily choice to keep investing in each other. When every promise is supported by consistent action, every challenge becomes another opportunity to prove that commitment isn't defined by the words you speak. It's defined by the life you build together. As you step back and look at the entire journey, you begin to realize that this story was never really about receiving a remarkable letter. It wasn't about fame, influence, or the excitement of hearing someone say, "You're the woman I'm going to marry." Those words may capture your attention, but they point towards something much deeper. The real question isn't whether someone extraordinary would choose you. The real question is whether you're becoming the kind of person who can build an extraordinary life with someone else. We spend so much time hoping to meet the right person that we sometimes forget the more important challenge, becoming the right person. That's where lasting relationships begin. Character isn't created the moment you fall in love. It's developed long before that, through the choices you make when no one is watching, the habits you build, the promises you keep, and the way you treat people who have nothing to offer you in return. Ambition is important, but ambition without kindness eventually becomes empty. Intelligence is valuable, but intelligence without humility creates distance instead of connection. Confidence can open doors, but integrity is what allows people to trust you once those doors are open. The qualities that make someone successful are meaningful, but the qualities that make someone dependable are the ones that sustain love. Growth should never stop after commitment. In fact, that's when it becomes even more important. Every year, you should become a little wiser, a little more patient, a little more understanding, and a little more courageous. The strongest relationships aren't made of two perfect people. They're made of two imperfect people who refuse to stop growing together. There will always be distractions telling you to compare your life with someone else's. Social media highlights, public achievements, and outward appearances can make it seem as though everyone else has discovered a secret formula for happiness. They haven't. Every meaningful relationship still depends on the same timeless principles: trust, respect, communication, shared purpose, and the willingness to choose each other again and again. So if you ever imagine receiving a letter filled with confidence, hope, and a promise about the future, don't let it become only a fantasy. Let it become a mirror. Ask yourself whether your own actions are writing the kind of story someone else would be grateful to join. Because the future isn't created by wishing for extraordinary moments. It's created by ordinary decisions repeated with extraordinary consistency. And when two people dedicate themselves to becoming worthy of the future they dream about, love stops being something they search for and becomes something they build, one unwavering choice at a time.